Let me tell you something a bit unsettling. For more than 300,000 years, our species has wandered this planet, building everything from industrial revolutions to towering skyscrapers, endless highways, and monuments meant to outlast time. We like to believe that in some way, we've carved our mark into eternity. That even if humanity vanished tomorrow, the universe would still remember us through our knowledge, our science, and the legacy we've created. Yet here's the part that's hard to accept. If humanity disappeared today, and a new intelligent species emerged on Earth 500 million years later, they wouldn't find the smallest trace of us. Not a skyscraper, not a monument, not a single artifact of our technological world. Every bit of it would be gone, completely erased. The idea is a bit depressing when you let it sink in, but this fact also opens the door to a far more intriguing question. If everything we have ever built would vanish so easily, then how can we be certain that we were the first advanced civilization on this planet? Is it possible that long before us, another species rose, developed technology, mastered industry, shaped the world, and then disappeared without leaving a recognizable mark? Could we be living on top of the ruins of civilizations so ancient that time itself wiped them clean? It's a fascinating idea, and honestly, a little frightening. Many people have wondered about it, and the concept has inspired countless theories. Some even imagine that these ancient civilizations never truly vanished, but transcended into something else entirely. But that's not the direction we're going. Our focus is on the larger possibility itself. To explore this question properly, we can start with a notable piece of research that framed it in an unusually clear way. Back in 2018, a paper by physicist, astronomer Adam Frank and climate scientist Gavin Schmidt proposed what they called the Silurian Hypothesis. The name caught the attention of science fiction fans, especially those who recognized the reference from Doctor Who, where a fictional species called the Silurians awakens after hundreds of millions of years of hibernation. Frank and Schmidt's argument wasn't that ancient civilizations actually existed. In fact, they explicitly stated that they saw no evidence for any pre-human industrial species. Instead, what they offered was a scientific thought experiment, a structured way to ask whether an advanced industrial civilization could have lived on Earth long before us, and if so, what traces it might leave behind. The question isn't were there ancient humans, but rather, could there have been industrial civilizations that rivaled or even surpassed ours? Before going further, we need to acknowledge something fundamental. Homo sapiens may have walked the planet for roughly 300,000 years, but our ability to reshape the Earth, our industrial activity, our cities, our global impact, is extremely recent. The real transformation began only a few centuries ago. In the timeline of Earth's history, that makes us unimaginably young. Now consider the scale we're dealing with. Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. If a highly advanced civilization emerged at any point within that vast span and later vanished, the odds of us finding clear physical evidence of their existence are incredibly small. Not zero, but so close to zero that the search becomes almost impossible. Time, geology, erosion, continental drift, and planetary cycles would erase nearly everything. The reason this question is so difficult to answer lies in the nature of the Earth itself. To us, the planet seems steady and unchanging. But if we could fast forward through its 4.5 billion year history, we'd see something completely different. A world behaving like a restless, living organism. Continents slide across the globe, mountains rise and crumble, ocean floors vanish and reappear. Land that looks solid and permanent today was once part of the deep sea, and much of Earth's crust has been melted down, recycled, and pushed back to the surface over and over again. This geological cycle wipes the planet clean on a staggering scale. Roughly every few 100 million years, almost everything that existed on the surface is erased. As a result, most of the ground we walk on today is astonishingly young, in many places, no more than 2.6 million years old. Yes, we've uncovered fossils that date back hundreds of millions of years, but those discoveries are rare exceptions, not the rule. There's another factor that makes the search even harder. Nearly 8 billion people live on Earth today, yet the cities we've built cover only about 1% of the planet's surface. That means if an ancient civilization once reached a level of development similar to ours, the odds that any of their structures happen to fossilize, and that we happen to find them, are incredibly small. Fossilization itself is extraordinarily uncommon. The conditions required are extremely specific. Pressure without oxygen, the right kind of sediment, rapid burial, and many more criteria that rarely align. That's why we have fossil records for only a tiny fraction of the species that dominated Earth for millions of years. For these reasons, if an industrial civilization existed before us, identifying clear evidence of it becomes an almost impossible task. Even though physical structures fade over time, Earth's rocks can still hold clues. Consider this. It takes roughly 1,000 years for a single centimeter of sedimentary rock to form. If humanity disappeared today, and a future civilization examined the rock layers millions of years from now, our entire history, everything from our earliest ancestors to modern cities, would fit into just a few meters of geological record. And as we focus solely on the industrial age, the era in which our technology exploded, all of it would barely make up a fraction of a centimeter. So if an ancient civilization ever rose and collapsed long before us, the most realistic place to find evidence would be within these rocks. Sedimentary layers preserve chemical signatures from the environment in which they were formed. Shifts in the atmosphere, changes in oceans, and even unusual spikes in certain elements. Fossils themselves are just one form of evidence. The chemistry locked inside rock layers may be even more telling. If a civilization had reached an industrial stage similar to ours, especially one powered by fossil fuels, they would have altered their atmosphere just as we have. Burning carbon-based fuels leaves a distinct isotopic fingerprint, a trace that can survive in ancient rock. That's where things get interesting. About 56 million years ago, scientists identified a strange anomaly in the geological record, a dramatic spike known as the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum. This event lasted roughly 200,000 years, a duration surprisingly close to the entire span of our species' existence. It was a period when Earth's climate warmed significantly, almost to levels you could describe as endless summer conditions. Geological analyses also reveal a massive release of carbon during this time. What caused it? Natural processes? Something more unusual? The rock layers don't give easy answers, but they do raise compelling questions. Of course, a spike in carbon from millions of years ago doesn't automatically point to a lost civilization. There are far more common explanations: enormous volcanic events, massive asteroid impacts, or other natural processes. So, none of these anomalies prove the existence of an ancient industrial species, but they are undeniably intriguing. What makes this even more interesting is that a few million years after the Paleocene-Eocene event, the geological record reveals yet another unusual layer, again marked by a significant surge in carbon. These periods show abrupt warming, rapid environmental shifts, and chemical changes that stand out sharply from the layers above and below them. And just as before, natural causes remain the most likely explanation. It's also worth remembering that if a distant future civilization studied the geological footprint we're leaving behind today, they might see our era as an anomaly as well. We're altering global temperatures at an extraordinary pace, scattering unusual elements through the environment and reshaping the chemistry of the atmosphere. But without cultural context, those traces could easily be misinterpreted, just as we struggle to interpret ancient spikes in the rock record. Whether natural or not, these past anomalies highlight the same paradox at the heart of the Silurian Hypothesis. If an industrial civilization once rose and fell long before humans existed, its signs might look nearly identical to natural planetary changes, making the truth almost impossible to distinguish. And this leads to an even deeper question. What would such knowledge actually give us? For one, it would reshape the way we think about the search for intelligent life. If civilizations can emerge on the same planet more than once, then the universe could be far richer in intelligent species than we ever imagined. It even raises the possibility that worlds like ancient Mars or early Venus, both of which were once far more hospitable, might have hosted their own brief eras of complexity. But most importantly, this idea forces us to rethink our own place on Earth. It shows how fragile our existence really is, how easily everything we've built could shrink into a thin geological layer lost beneath future worlds. History is full of civilizations that believed they would last forever, only to disappear and leave behind little more than a cautionary tale. We may not need to look millions of years into the past to understand the message. In the end, even the researchers who proposed the hypothesis don't believe such a civilization ever existed, but as a thought experiment, it's a remarkable question. If you enjoyed exploring ideas like this, Make sure to subscribe for more deep dive stories and science-based mysteries every week.